So let's get started talking about the why. Why is the why so crucial? Because you don't want to get started on a topic that you're going to be stuck with for maybe a couple of years, and you fall out of love with that topic, and at the end of it, and you might not even want to finish because the topic that you chose just wasn't for you, because you didn't choose the right why. That's why the why is so important. So let's give you some examples of the right why and the wrong why. Goodfellas. Gotti. Not the HBO one. That one was pretty good. The Travolta one. Martin Scorsese. Why did he make Goodfellas? He's Italian. That should be maybe step one, because it is a movie about the Italian mob. The wrong why. Gotti. Again, another movie about the Italian mob, directed by Entourage actor Kevin Connolly. Pretty sure he's Irish. I mean, I don't know if he's got any Italian in there, but I'm pretty sure he's heavily Irish. So that's already a disparity right there that you can, if you hadn't seen both movies, you're probably going to say, he probably knows a little bit more about this than he does. Number two, Scorsese, he grew up around the actual mafia. You know, he said he would talk about seeing these guys on the street corners, seeing the way that they talked and how they responded and how they told stories. This was all very familiar to him, especially as, you know, when you're growing up, that's when you're most impressionable. So he's taken all this in. So naturally, when he was going to tell his stories to the world, it was going to come out natural. And that's why his why was the right why. That's why you see most of his movies have that mafia theme. And then we got Kevin Connolly. I mean, I don't know his background. I'm pretty sure he didn't grow up around the mob or anything like that. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. That movie came out. It was, you know, it didn't do good. Let's be honest. It was a box office failure. Let's see. Goodfellas, Rotten Tomatoes score from the critics, I believe, was a 96% positive rating, as opposed to Gotti's, which was 0%. Had no favorable reviews. So right there, right off the bat, you can see the right why versus the wrong why. And that's why it is so important to have the right why. While I'm at it, let's go over a quote by the great film critic Robert Ebert. He wrote, "No finer film has ever been made about organized crime. Not even The Godfather." There you go, the right why. If you need help getting started on finding your why, you know, let's get the conversation going. You know, comment, email. You know, we'll figure it out. You know, let's say you grew up around a struggling entrepreneur. You know, your parents were always trying to get a business going and failing. Boom, there you go, right there. Why not make a documentary about it? Because you've seen it. We grew up around it. You lived it. Topic number two, the gear. When I got started out in my filmmaking journey, I started out with a Panasonic HMC 150. Now that was one of those bigger square ones, you know, had the nice big lens on it. That was before the whole DSLR, you know, explosion happened, when that became the independent filmmakers' camera of choice. So I got familiar with that, which is one of those ones that it had everything attached to it, like the ND filters was just a switch, the XLR cables, you can just plug them right into there. So that was a really good camera to start with to actually learn how to use, because once you learn how to use one of those, it's it helps you fit the bill of a one-man band, because you know, when you get started with making documentaries, you're most likely going to be a one-man band. So you have a camera like that does the sound, obviously does the filming, and then the ND filters, which is really essential for when you're walking into hard light. You don't have that time to screw on the cap. You can just put that switch on. So that's going to be a good camera to get you started to learn. And you don't want to spend too much on the first one, because who knows, you might choose the wrong why and then fall out of love with the whole, you know, genre of making films. So let's not go too crazy right off the bat. Second camera that I used was it's a mirrorless one. It's like the same bodies of the DSLRs, but it's mirrorless. It's made by Sony, and that was the A57. Now that one got good praise for it's image quality to price. Because that was always on, a factor for me, not having the money hose. It's what's going to give you the best image for the price. And that was a full HD. Okay, that was before the whole 4K stuff. And that camera, that's the one that got me pretty much started, because, before you can get any traction on what your topic is, you need to film something. But we'll go over that a little bit later on in documentary tips. So back to the gear. What I have now is a camera that was really, really anticipated amongst the independent film world. So this one is the GH4. The lens is on that camera, so sorry. And this one is the backup camera. It's got a nice steel grid on it. This one is also 4K, but it's not as sharp as them. Yeah, so these cameras got praised for really good video image quality. Like, even though it's a DSLR camera, photography camera, these ones were made with video being their purpose number one. So it's like, it has the body of a photography camera, but it's a video camera that takes pictures, if that makes sense. So that's why I went with this particular model. Backup camera, camera A, Panasonic GH5 Lumix. So that's going to be one that you want to look into. I highly recommend it. It's 4K. It has the capability of filming like a lot higher quality than the card you buy for it, so you're gonna have to upgrade it to a external recorder, but that we can talk about later. So when making documentary films, there's gonna be some struggles. You might run into certain problems that you weren't expecting. So in my opinion, it's always best to become aware that you're gonna run into some stuff. This way, when it actually happens, you're not going to be surprised by it and shocked to where it's going to deter you from even finishing the film, or even following the journey as a filmmaker. Because I've heard stories, but we got plenty of episodes to talk about it. So one of the struggles that I incurred when making The Fight, a real life Rocky story, was the camera we just talked about, the Panasonic GH5 Lumix. So I figured if I tell you my stories about my struggles and hardships, you might be able to relate to them when these types of things occur during your filming. Does that make sense? All right, so here we go. The Panasonic Lumix GH5. So when I got it, it was brand new, right? And like I said, this was a very sought after camera. Like, independent filmmakers, they were chomping at the bit to get this camera. So, I already had a little bit of traction with The Fight. So I was like, we're all in. Let's move to 4K, because we didn't have the 4K. The A57 Sony was full HD. Now, I usually do a lot of research on these things, and when I decided to get that camera, I was really excited. And it came in, and I filmed maybe one little thing with my doctor, and it came out that it was great image quality, just like I said. And then I had an error on it. It said it was a mirror error or something like that. So I couldn't figure it out. Whatever researching, because the camera was new, there wasn't much tutorials out there on how to fix it yourself. So luckily I had a warranty on it. So I sent in the camera, to get fixed. And after about a month, which was already a long time, I'm trying to, email them back and like, what's going on? What's going on? We want to get filming. What's going on? They finally write back after a month, and they said that it's this mirror issue, and we can't fix this camera. So we're gonna send you a new one. So of course, I'm like, yeah, of course, that's great, because I bought a new. Why not send a new one? Thank you. Let's get it going. So here's where the story gets struggling, what happens is they send the new one like a day or two after Thanksgiving, which I had been traveling to see family for Thanksgiving. So when they sent the camera, no one was home. And when I get back, of course, you know, what are the odds of the box gonna be there? Wasn't there. But here's where the trick, here's where it gets tricky or sticky. Postman, or, you know, I don't want to put anyone on blast. Let's just say the mail person that delivered the camera said that they got my signature, you know, signed for the package. I'm like, well, how could I sign for the package when no one was home? No one was home, the house was empty. So it was either delivered it to the wrong address, on which somebody signed for it, and of course you get that package, you know, it's gonna be a miracle if they come knock on your door and be like, hey, here's your camera. No, it didn't happen. Now, the other thing is they just, you know, whatever, they were in a hurry. They wanted to get home. It was Thanksgiving, so they just signed it themselves and left it on the ground. And of course, someone's gonna take a box that's sitting there for a couple days. So now began the whole, you know, the whole song and dance of, it was delivered, we can't do anything about it. And this is what I'm talking about. If you're aware of these type of struggles, maybe this can help you. So it just seemed like in this situation, they're used to being like, if a camera gets lost, they're just like, you know, we did what we could. You have to take it up with, you have to take it up with, and they're not gonna take any responsibility in that because they got the signature. So if you hit a struggle like this, it's not only is it, you know, you lose the camera, but now your whole production is at a halt. You can't film. You really can't do much. And speaking from experience, you start to lose motivation because now you don't have a camera. All right, and like I said, I don't have that money hose where I can just say, oh, you know what, let's buy a new one. You know, so it's, you know, I remember that being a pretty you know, big hit, because it's like, I just bought this camera for thousands of dollars and it got stolen of no fault of my own, and now no one's gonna help me out. So here's where having the strong will and having the right why, okay, because in my heart, I have the right why I'm making this documentary and why I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna stop at nothing to finish it. So that's what helped me get over this little hiccup. And I just kept on emailing, phone, just kept on them. And after a couple months, and then another couple months, and then I think it was a total of, off the top of my head, it was about seven or 8 months before they're finally like, all right, well, we have a, you know, obviously it wasn't your fault, but so we have a refurbished model that we can send you. Is that okay? And I'm like, you know, of course, I bought the camera new. I'm expecting a nice new camera. But, you know, they send me one the grips are all worn out and everything like that. But it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's about what the camera can put, you know, to screen. It's not about the cosmetics of the camera. So, of course, let's do it. Let's go ahead with it. I need this camera. I need to get moving. So they sent it, and, you know, all was forgiven. So that's one of my struggles that hopefully, if you happen to run into something like that, maybe that'll help you and just teach you to be, if you're not already, but teach you to be more persistent, right? Because they wanted to just say, nope, it's gone. You know, you gotta eat that. And I'm gonna get it, and I got it, and here we are. My documentary tip for this episode is gonna be as simple as just getting started. Okay, because a lot of times you can get overwhelmed with the thinking about the final goal, then you just you'll get that, you know, that extreme hesitation or procrastination, or you'll just freeze and you won't even get started. So this tip here is to get started. Get working on the why, all right? Why are you the one to tell the story? Figure out what that topic is. Figure out what the subject is. And, you know, remember, you're gonna probably spend months or even years, because documentaries, they tend to do better when it's over a span of time. So, you know, you're gonna be hard pressed to find a documentary over, you know, the course of a month. Someone's life over a month. It's going to be tough to do that. So don't expect that. So like I said, get started. That's number one. That's one of the, after the why, find your why. Well, that's all kind of goes together. Find your why, get started. That's it. And, you know, once you find that why, what I mean by getting started is just get out there and start filming something. Because even if you're not going to use it, or you don't think it's going to make the film, you might be able to use some B-roll from that, you know, or you might, let's say you film the subject in my case, you know, I was on the subject, I filmed something from 2016 and the project isn't done yet, but now I have all this footage from, I don't even look the same from then to now, that's gonna make, you know, your project all the better. It's gonna make it more production value, because, you know, just like the, you know, big feature films, when they do these types of things, like they show the age progression, those are always, you know, great things to film. So like I said, get started, get that topic, find out who the subject is, film, get it on the film, and just get started. That's it. Just get started. It's that easy.